going into the leave me alone stalking free.
Okay, and how did you acquire the agent that you have right now?
That was through a film studio, so it was through recommendation, actually, from just doing a bit of homework and somebody recommending someone.
Okay, well that's good. That's good to have it that way. I guess, okay, well first of all, just at the end, if I say something and I haven't addressed everything, just ask me to fill in what I missed. But I think that, so for film and TV and to do the bigger network voiceover jobs, you have to have an agent. And just a very quick summary of how that works is that in the industry, when there's a production company that's creating a project, they put out their production or their project to a cast. They hire a casting director, and then the casting director casts the project. And the casting director then, so let's say I'm making a new show, a new animation show, and I need to cast the voice talent for it. Then I hire a casting directing company that are going to bring in people for the auditions. And the casting directing company will then put out a breakdown to all the agents. And a breakdown is, thank you, that's a good question. A breakdown is just a description of the project, and it's like a short summary, a synopsis of what the storyline or the premise of the project is, and then a list of all the characters that they have to cast and a description of those characters. And they put that out, and then the agents look through the description and say, oh, hey, look, there's a teenage girl character in here, and then they look through their roster and they say, oh, Michelle Creever could be a potential for that, and I have, these 3 girls that might be up for that, and then there's a guy, oh, that would work well for Gabriel Brown, whatever. So they decide on their roster who they want to pitch for the project. They give their submissions to the casting director, and then the casting director usually is working on a limited budget, so they can't bring in hundreds of people unless, like the Harry Potter thing that happened in London this week, that was an open call casting where they're committing a whole bunch of time and money to seeing thousands of people, and then maybe at the end of the day they'll find someone for this new role that they're looking for. But generally speaking, they're on a limited budget. So they got, I've got 1 hour to cast this character. Okay, this is a huge lead in a new movie. I might take 2 days or 2 weeks to cast this character, but it's all done on a very strict budget. So then they decide who they're going to see for the audition, and then the appointments are made through the agent, and then the agent gives you your appointment time, you go in, you do your audition. If they want to see you again, they might tell your agent they want you for a callback, or sometimes it's many callbacks. The first movie Michelle did was a Disney movie, and I think she did 7 callbacks for that before she got the role. And then it wasn't the role she started out auditioning for, but she did get a role. And so it can be complicated. And then, if they want to book you, then the agent's job is to negotiate your contract for you. So the agent generally is the person who does all the business part of things. Whereas the manager, like what I am, the manager looks after the artist. So the artist's public profile, what's that?
Helps with advertising.
Helps with that. Yeah, but actually, why don't you say what you think the manager?
What
is it that I do for you?
Well, yeah. From my experience, my agent is the person that people contact. If they're looking for talent, and if she thinks I'm suited for that role, she will submit me. I can't be submitted without my agent to projects, because they wouldn't reach out to me. They only reach out to agents to look for the talent, and that is strictly what I feel that my agent does. She is just there to get me in front of the people that want to see, anyone who she thinks would have the ability that the casting director is looking for. A manager is more personal, in that they are pushing you, guiding you. Yeah, pushing sounds like you're being pushy, but I don't mean it in that way. They're putting you forward. They're helping to advertise you, and they usually, I feel like, you know more about my abilities and the stuff that I can do, and you're able to talk to people and say, yes, well, Gabe does this, and this. And you go to places where you meet people and you help me make connections and stuff like that. My agent's got a lot of people on her roster. She knows what I can do, but she's not going to go out of her way to kind of talk about me to people or go to meetings to help me make connections and stuff like that, because she's got a lot of people on her roster that she'd have to do that for. She's just going to be like, oh, here I have an audition for a, you know, male in his early 20s, you know, who does this. And she'll be like, all right, that sounds like I have 2 clients who can do that. She'll submit me and another guy that are on her roster, and then we'll get to audition. So yeah, is that?
Yeah, and to go to a bit more of what you were asking about. So with an agent, first of all, and I assume that the agent that you have, it sounds like it's a legitimate agent, but if you ever see an advertisement or like a print ad or a TV or radio ad or a poster where they advertise a course where you can go and, you know, do a weekend workshop or something like that with some training, and that they're going to connect you with agents at these workshops, and then they'll drop a whole bunch of really, you know, big actor names on the posters. Almost always those are scams, okay, those kinds of things. If you get an agent who is charging you money to become your agent, it is not a legitimate agent. Agents work under commission. So they have you on their roster because they believe in your abilities. Now, and if they say no, that doesn't mean necessarily that they don't believe in your abilities. It might mean that, okay, I've already got 10 guys in their early 20s on my roster, so I don't have room for you in that slot. So you might have to find another agent that has a need for a guy that age in their roster. So, but what they will have you there for is because you fill that part of their roster out, and they make money when you make money. So at first, if they see your talent, Michelle's first agent, I don't think, made anything for a whole year, and they kept working for her because they believed in her talent. And then when she started booking stuff, then it starts to pay off for them. So that's the relationship there. Agents shouldn't charge money, and if they are, usually they're not real agents, or they're not doing things that, you know, make sure they're certified, that they're a licensed agency, that is actually tapped into the real industry. That's really important. And then, sorry, you asked one other part about, and then pushing your agent, you asked about. Are you feeling like the agent is not submitting your son for as many things as they could be, or?
I think that the trouble is, I have no yardstick to know
Yeah.
how much should be and shouldn't be, so it's really hard to judge. Actually.
Yeah. It is hard, and it is hard. You know, gosh, I've been through this. I feel your pain with that, because it's sometimes you just we've been through that with some agents too over the years, where you go, well, you know, I'm not actually sure they're doing their job because someone else is telling me about a project that would have been perfect, but yet how come there was no audition for that project? Or I've heard a lot of casting directors say that there's no reason why you can't be checking with the agent each week to say, you know, so what's happening? Is there anything new this week? Or can I get some feedback on how the last few auditions went? You know, and just have a regular conversation with them about, sorry, can I ask how old your son is?
14.
14, okay, so it's very similar. Michelle's 15.
Feedback they won't volunteer unless you ask.
Yeah, feedback often you never get it unless you ask, and feedback can be invaluable to, you know, improve things for the next time. But ultimately, if you feel like you can't connect, you know, and have that kind of conversation with the agent, or you feel like they're not doing what they could be doing for your son, there's no reason why you can't look for a new agent. You know, it's like a doctor. You know, if you don't have a good connection with your doctor, find a new doctor that you feel like you can communicate with. But I would never leave one until you find a new one, because you don't want to be without one. Does that answer something? Yeah. You did?
Yeah, that's great. Thank
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we have about 5 minutes left, so yes.
I was wondering, when you were first starting in the industry, how difficult did you find sort of balance between promoting yourself, getting yourself out there, making content, and having a semblance of a normal life?
Very good.
Well, I don't. I mean, I've been lucky. I've had a really great life, and a lot of great things I'm very thankful for. but one of the things, wow, okay, I'm thinking of all these different things, and all of the thoughts in my head are like clouds right now, but my hand is like a foot away from them, and it just can't quite reach it, so I'm just failing to say sentences. I was homeschooled. Okay. Since grade 5, yeah, I've never really had a completely normal life. But we've never had a formula of, okay, you get up at 8, you go to school, you come back, you do your homework, you watch TV, you go to bed. No. It's never been my life, ever. We have dinner at one day 6, the next day 10:30. It's all over the map, and it's so much fun. And so I've never really had a very formulated, restricted life, and I've just kind of gone with the flow, and it always changes. And I mean, I've kept a good balance. Like, I still have a lot of time to spend with my friends, and I'm lucky that I also get to work with one of my best friends. And so it's I don't know, I've never had a normal life, but at the same time I have. It's just, that's my normal. It's just getting to, not having to travel and work every single day. Sometimes I have breaks, which is nice. And I'm not going to continue talking, or else I'm going to end up talking about the hippos in space.
Which we will go to. If I could just add to that, I think maybe part of the question was how much of your working time. I mean, these days, promotion should be part of your work. So if you think, in the old days, people put an 8-hour day or 10-hour day, and you're self-employed for yourself, and you've got 8 hours, well, X number of those hours should be a promotion. So you're developing your talent, whether it be art or music or acting. In say 4 or 5 or 6 of those hours, the other 2 you'd be promoting. You'd be working on your website. You'd be liaising with people that have knowledge for you, all those other things. And then, but you still need to have a life. You need to have private time. Does that answer it all? It's always about balancing. In everything you do, it's about balancing the needs of your day. But these days, for somebody in the arts, promotion is a very large part of it. In fact, I'm a film composer, and I'm not very good at schmoozing, unfortunately. But the guys I know who are successful, it's about 50% of your time. So you're in your studio, you're writing your film score, you're looking at video, you're creating lovely music, and for 4 hours, at the other 4, you're going to meet producers, directors, talking to people, parties, anything where you can meet people who make films. At 50%, that's an extremely large, and I don't particularly like it. I'd rather be in my studio doing the music all the time. So you need to balance yourself so that you can get out there, meet people, talk to people online, wherever you do it in your field, and to promote yourself.
I was just going to add one other little thing too, speaking of not having a normal life, I mean, I guess that's, or an average life, is that you really need to know, I have met some people, I've actually had people come and consult with me about wanting to be in the film industry or the music industry or the voice acting industry, and then I explain, how it works and answer their questions, and it becomes clear that they are a type of personality who needs to have their life very regulated. That they want to know, well, when will it get to the point where I will know that I consistently have this going on? And the answer is never. It never happens. So it really, you cannot be in this industry without having a thick skin, because there's a lot of rejection, tons of rejection that it's tempting to always take personally, and you probably should never take it personally. It's just you're not the right person for that job at that time. But you need a thick skin, and you need to be flexible, and you need to, I'm actually
ready for plans to change like that.
Plans change quickly. You may think you know what your schedule is for tomorrow, and then your agent calls and says, I've got an audition for you, it's tomorrow at 10. She sends you the breakdown, and it's 10 pages of script that you have to have memorized and do a good job of by tomorrow at 10 a.m. And you need to be able to do that. Or you think that you have the next month off, and then you get the call that you just booked a movie, and actually you're going to be working an hour away 6 days a week for the next month. Or you have to fly out of town suddenly. Or you have to sit there thinking, how am I going to pay my rent next month? I have no idea. And just pray on a hope and a prayer, or whatever that expression is, that something's going to come in. So it's not at all for the faint of heart, or for people who really rely on having a rigid existence. And I don't mean to make rigid sound like a bad thing, but some people really need to know their schedule, and you don't know your schedule in this industry. I think that's really it. And Gabe, you had a similar unpredictable upbringing too, right? Like in,
Oh, it's very similar. There's a famous Monty Python sketch, do you know?
Sorry, I know Monty Python is old news, but there's a great sketch in which I think it's Michael Palin comes in, and he's clearly an accountant. He's very, very proper, and he's the kind of person that should have a regular 9-to-5 job. But he comes in, and John Cleese, I believe it's John Cleese, is interviewing, ask him, so why do you want to be a lion tamer? And that's an extreme case, but in this is a case where he should be an accountant because he does need that kind of regularity. He should be working on it. He'd be happier than in the lion taming business.
All right, well, that's our panel. There will be another autograph session in conference room 5, immediately following this.
But most
Right now.
importantly,
But most importantly, there's a concert at 7 o'clock in this room. So be there for that.
I'm sorry I didn't say much. I tried. Every question passed, I was like, oh.